Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to our spiritual mornings. Welcome to our world within. Let's close our eyes and tune in the collective consciousness of all of us gathered here. To be grateful, to be so thankful for whatever we've been receiving in our life, to affirm, to be open and receptive to all the magics, to all the abundance, to all the magical synchronicities in the world. To be tuned into the spaces, dimensions, and timings of the universe. To be aware of the presence of the angel, guardian, spirit guides, mentors, teachers, gurus, loved ones, ancestors in this realm or the other, in this dimension or the other, in this planet or another. To be aware of all that unfolds around us. At times around us, at times that surrounds us, that times which is within us. To be aware of the energy flow in us, how the energy is all the time moving. And how do we get to know when it's not moving, when there are any blockages, any pain body? And these pain bodies also come to us to teach us a lesson. So to be aware that have we tuned into the lesson? If not, asking the pain body by touching it, by waiting for a frequency for it to emit the vibration it needs to talk to you. Now, whether you receive it on an ethereal level or a spoken level, you will tune into this. We will tune into this. To realize that everything has a reason, a purpose, a cause. Nothing is out of the ordinary. Everything is extraordinary, just the way we are. So we may have labeled ourselves to be an ordinary person, but actually we are not. And why are we extraordinary? Because we have within us a soul residing that is wise beyond years, that has traveled eons of lives and finally chosen us to further its purpose. And meanwhile, we become the benefactor. Only if you tune into the energy. Let's create an aura around us right now, a protection zone around us. So let's affirm and let's request all those beings that are not of love and light. We request you to go back home where you belong because you are truly loved. Only what is of love's light and our higher self is allowed in our body. And I hereby lock and protect my aura and my body. Lock. Feel the circle going around you, clockwise, circle or ellipse, whatever comes to your mind. And once again it rotates and you say lock. Another time it rotates and you say lock. After having protected yourself, Now you know anything, any pain body or anything which made you think that it's not worth it or you're not worth it will no longer remain. The insecurity will vanish because our soul only projects the highest good, the best. It doesn't limit us. What's limiting us, if there are any thoughts, is because of the attachments of the unearthly bodies or the unlove filled bodies. There are uncountable souls in and around. So the one which is meant to be inside is the only one meant to be inside. If we go through a depression or any kind of excessive emotionally upheaval, it's because of different souls present or different fragmented parts of souls presence in our body, which are not welcome. Understand that, know that. And you don't need anybody else to clear off that. All you need is one prayer, one intention, and one ritual of locking your aura. So our auric body has holes. These holes are coming in with traumas. And then it's very easy for the negative spirits or the incomplete spirits to come and attach itself. We must remember, we must be reminded that no soul can do its bit without attaching to a human body, which is the reason our higher selves, our souls, have chosen us to further their purpose. But please understand the lower frequency we are at, the lower vibration we are at, we are easily attracting these low conscious souls into our auric field, and they are going to hamper and we're going to feel depressed or low or feel hurt or whatever. And nobody except the very great masters can not come down to this frequency level. If for humans, it's very, very, very easy to come down here. Whenever something is going good in your life and you're like counting your blessings, like, wow, this is amazing. I'm so proud. I'm so grateful. And then the next minute, something happens which is earth shattering. And like, what happened? Everything was going on so well. Now what happened? It's because unknowingly we attracted the evil eye of these souls which are lack of love and they want to make their presence felt. And what they do is that you come up with some physical problems or some kind of spiritual problems or some kind of emotional problems or financial problems. When that happens, it's a check for us, a reminder for us that we need to clear our auric zone. And the best way to create the auric zone is to first ground ourselves. The grounding isn't difficult. Sipping of water with an intention of the water just clearing your auric body, blessed water, or going and hugging a tree and requesting the plant consciousness to clear your auric field. Because plant consciousness is very expansive, it's very healing. Ma Prakriti is the biggest healer, the biggest giver. The CO2 oxygen play that happens, which gives us life, it's because of Ma Prakriti. So when we request Ma Prakriti, Mother Earth, or Ma Prakriti, which is the same in a way, that whatever is negative in my auric field, may that leave me and transmute into love, light, and blessings. And only Mother Earth can do that for us. A mother is an unconditional giver. Tap into her energy. We have been blessed by a birth mother, yes. But we have this eternal mother, Mother Gaia, who is so expansive, who was a sister of the Saptarishis, who decided to reincarnate as a planet for all of us low conscious souls to get to face ascension. She's still waiting for the light in us to ignite. So, whenever you are in a doubt, whenever you are in a problem, understand that there is a presence of unrequired souls in your auric body. And all you have to do is ground yourself, earth yourself, pray and release. That I let go of all the resistance in me, which wasn't helping me grow. I let go of all the bondages in me, which came on its own, whether I knew it or not. I release all that is of lack of love. I intertwine, integrate, embrace all that is love. Because I am love, because I am light. And I shine so bright, bright now, bright here. Do this ritual right now. Imagine yourself being surrounded by the beautiful world of light. If you wish, you can imagine the bluish white light coming from the Sahasrara chakra, the crown chakra, and from top of your head into your body, crossing your entire body, energizing each part, flowing into Mother Earth, becoming double recharged, and coming back in your body through Mother Earth with another golden healing light added to it. Again, entering your lower body, entering your entire body, swirling around your entire body, rejuvenating every single part of it, which is also like detoxing any part of it, cleansing any part of it. It's like a light sweep. And when the sweep happens, all that is dirt and grime has to be swept away. And this beautiful, clean, gleaming light is now pooled behind your head, where the pineal gland is, where the pineal chakra is, activating your chakra. In the current body of human beings, there are 7 chakras. But in the spiritual body, in the advanced body, when we start becoming like masters, a part of them, our other 4 chakras get activated. And that in itself is miraculous. So I request right now everybody to concentrate on this newer body. So all of us know that we have the crown chakra, which will always be. No changes in that. Now all of us know about the third eye chakra. Now when the third eye we open up with spirituality and we are able to plan so much more, that goes deep inside us, as deep as possible, just a little before your head finishes. Straight in line of the third eye till the end, just before that finishes, you'll be able to find the spot. And just a little under the skull is our pineal chakra. So allow the light there to shine. See your chakra shining. And just very close to that, but on the front side, a little lower, say a little between third eye and the bridge of your nose, a little inside, kind of like little above your eyes inside, is your pituitary chakra. And right behind your lips, absolutely keep going inside, a little inside of the back of your skull, where the curve of your neck is your well of dreams. When we are going to be in complete harmony with ourselves, activated, then our monkey mind will stop chattering because the well of dreams will be there. Then whatever we dream will immediately manifest because there's a beautiful correlation in the body. The throat will be as it is. The heart will be as it is. But now if you see the gap between them, so right where you have the throat and right where you have the heart, in the middle of that, a thymus chakra is activated. So see it. And between the heart and the solar plexus, again, there's a gap. Right equidistant in the middle is your diaphragm chakra getting activated. But of course, your solar plexus and your sacral chakra and your root chakra remain the same. Many of us who have received the journal of loving yourselves, where the three lotuses are there, one on top of the other. That is something that I had received as a vision of my persona, of my higher self persona in me. And then not realizing that there were already 11 chakras in that particular painting. And they're all therein as hearts. It is on us to elevate our consciousness, our vibration, our frequency, and activate these chakras. When we start flowing from love and light, when we let go of ego, when we let go of fear, the first most important thing, fear. Fear grips most of us. If I do this, what if I fail? If I do this, what if I am not liked? If I do this, what if people do not accept me? That fear of failure, it's very easy to replace that by saying, I must try because I have my soul guiding me. And even if doesn't succeed, whatever will happen will only happen for the highest good. And there will be a lesson in that. And I embrace that lesson. And I tell my, masters, angel guides, to protect me from any harm. And I trust the process. When you say you trust somebody, you can never falter. If you tell your mother and your little baby, like you're about just a couple of, maybe a year or two old, and you tell your mother, Mom, I'm going to just go on the swing, but please ensure that I don't fall. Your mother will do whatever to be around you so that you don't fall. Otherwise, if you hadn't told her, maybe she would have been talking to a friend of hers in the park. But now that you've told her, she may be talking, but she would be right behind you. That is the exact effect we have when we tell and talk to our masters. And our masters speak back to us when we are in meditation. So now is the entire crux that we have crossed these beautiful 70-day sessions. We have to realize that now meditation for us would be to sit in solitude, because we have practiced guided meditation for a long time. to sit in solitude, to allow the masters to have a conversation with us, and to be proactively conversing with our masters. It doesn't take a big deal. I request each one of you to take at least 3 minutes right now on call and connect with your masters. In the first few seconds or a minute, maybe there's no conversation. But then see if you hear anything. It doesn't have to be a sentence. Even words are okay to get us going. Please connect with your higher selves, with your masters, with your angels, and see if there's any message coming your way. It's a beautiful feeling to be connected, to get downloads, to get answers. It'll take some practice, but we'll come around to it. So let's thank all the light beings for the channeling, for the wonderful message. Let's tune inwards and start our wonderful day by being grateful and starting our wonderful day by reading this very beautiful book that we've been reading, Miracles Happen. I think maximum within this week, this book will be complete and we'll be able to go further on. So here we are. We start with this story of heroes, and after which we go on to the new chapter, right? And we'll see how much we can read today. Rest will continue. Heroes. My brother tells a story of driving in a car one sunny afternoon near his home in Philadelphia. His son Travis, who was 7 years old at the time, was sitting in the back seat. They were leaving a busy shopping center that had only one exit lane and a streetlight at its end. There were many cars coming. There were many cars waiting to exit along with them. The traffic was heavy, the line long. While they waited, Travis looked out of the window and saw a man seated nearby, collecting money for charity. When he asked Jordan what that was all about, Jordan, seeing the information on the man's vest and signage, replied that the money went to children with cancer. Travis listened, and then he asked if they could give the man $1. Oh, I don't know, Trav, Jordan said non-committally. The thought hadn't really occurred to him. He was, as we all are, accustomed to seeing people collecting money for one cause or another on a daily basis on the street, on the television, in the mail, and giving to some, but not all as request after request piled up. Would $1 really be much help? Who knew where that money went anyways? He wasn't even sure he had a dollar in him, and to check would have been meant unbooking, unhooking his seat car belt, reaching into his pocket, fiddling around and taking everything out, perhaps some change falling on the floor. It just didn't seem worth the hassle at a red light with so many people behind them. Any delay caused by stopping would surely have resulted in shouting and horn honking. And sure enough, at that moment, the light turned green, and there was nothing more he could do. So he said something like, "Ah, well," as he began to drive away, thinking nothing else of it. It was only when they had finally left the shopping center and made the difficult merge into 6 lanes of congested traffic, the driver said, "Oh, but Dad, we would be heroes." And so, after a long wait to get into the street where they now were, there was no other option but to make a U turn and drive back to the shopping center just to go all the way around again and sit in the traffic again and wait at the light again so that they could at this time hand the man some money. Looking in the rearview mirror as he drove off, Jordan saw Travis excitedly pumping his little fist in the air and whispering, "Yes," says Emmy Weiss. To be a hero doesn't require great action, thousands of people. Simple acts of kindness and qualify too, and the results of this radiate outwards to all of the earth and beyond. Charity and kindness can never be minimized. Everything is energy, and the energy of compassion encompasses all the others. A resonance is established, just like the ringing of a bell that sends a storm of beautiful sound waves into the atmosphere. Just like a stone thrown into a pond that sends ripples to the entire shore. Acts of kindness can ripple to the shore of our soul's universe, and sometimes children can be our best teachers. Jordan's story is of a special moment while driving in a car with his son, who had an important lesson to teach him. Upon hearing it, I couldn't help but think of a similar experience that I had one generation ago. When Jordan was a child and I the father driving him, that time the lesson had been for me. As adults, we tend to forget those beautiful, wise insights of the world, but our children will always be the vehicle for reminding us. I tell the story in my book Through Time into Healing. Several years ago, after a 10-hour day of seeing patients, I was beginning to relax by meditating in the reclining chair in my office. After only a few minutes, already in a deep state without any particular thoughts in my mind, I heard a booming voice inside my head. It was just like a telepathic trumpet that and shook my entire body. "Just love him," the voice thundered. I was instantly wide awake. I knew the message meant Jordan, my son. At that time, he was a typically rebellious teenager, and I had not been thinking about him at all that day. Perhaps subconsciously, I was wrestling with him how to deal with his behavior. One very early and dark morning, a week later, I was driving Jordan to school. I tried to get a conversation going, but he was particularly monosyllabic in his responses to me that day. Jordan was just plain grumpy. I knew I had the choice of being angry or of letting it go. I remembered the message, "just love him," and I chose the latter. "Jordan, just remember that I love you," I said as I dropped him off at school. To my surprise, he replied, "I love you too." It was then that I realized that he hadn't been angry or grumpy at all. He just wasn't fully awake yet. My perception of anger had been an illusion. I continued driving in the hospital about 45 minutes away. As I passed a church, a sun was not rising above the treetops, and the sun was just rising above the treetops, and a gardener was leisurely mowing the grass. Suddenly, I had a feeling of great peace and joy. I felt immensely safe and secure, and the world seemed to be in perfect order. The gardener and trees and everything else I could see were luminous and glowing. I could see through them. Everything had a transparent golden quality. I felt connected to everyone and everything, to the gardener, to the trees, the grass, the sky, a squirrel climbing up a tree. There was a total absence of fear or anxiety. The future seemed perfectly clear. Perfect. I must have seemed strange to the other rush hour commuters. I felt a kind of detached, universal love for them too. Even as other drivers cut in front of me, I just waved them and smiled. I wondered why all these people were rushing so much. Time seemed to stand still and then disappear. I felt incredibly patient. We were here to learn and to love. I could see this so clearly, nothing else really mattered. The luminosity, the transparency of objects continued, and I drove to the hospital. So did the state of detached loving kindness and great peace and joy. So did the feelings of patience and happiness and interconnectedness with everything else. This state stayed with me as I began my workday. I was unusually intuitive with my patients that morning, especially with two new patients. I had never seen them before. I could perceive light in and around. Everyone seemed to glow. I could really experience how everything in my life is connected. I knew with certainty that there was no such thing as danger, no need for fear. Everything was one. Jordan's presence that morning, with a simple connection of love and a more complicated lesson on assumptions, had opened my heart, sparkling a completely transcendent experience in me, one that expanded up to the sky, down to the tiny blades of grass, and everything in and everywhere in between. Clearly, he already knew how to be a hero. How beautiful. Chapter number 12, Spiritual and Mystical Experiences. Mystical or spiritual phenomena present people with a glimpse of the other side of the real world. They can occur through meditation, prayer, nature, near death experiences, or in many other ways. Occasionally, they occur during sleep, in dreams, and in that period of time, just before falling asleep or awakening, before consciousness is reached. These habits and patterns that bring us such transcendent moments may work well for you. The use of drugs, whether hallucinogenic ones or the other types, can provide a superficial encounter with these higher levels, but there will not be a complete understanding of its nature. For this reason, amongst others, I do not recommend using drugs to bring about these states. The glimpses that are just otherworldly experiences provides us are extremely valuable, for they offer insights into the true nature of mind and of being. Such insights show the permanence of existence beyond the body, beyond the brain. They allow us to reach enlightenment. They show the beauty and the wisdom of the process or of the Tao or the flow, which is always there, which is always right. The process is guided perhaps by divine presence, often reaching down to us through an act of grace to nudge us back to our destiny and to help us with the lessons that we came here to learn. The stories in this chapter present a wide variety of such experiences, from the earthly to the distinctly unearthly. Yet all the roads lead back to the same place, a life transforming recognition of our soul's essence. Some features of the mystical or spiritual event are a feeling of oneness with all that is, of an energy that connects everything. There is a sense of timelessness, of infinite patience. With the understanding of such an occurrence comes an increase in one's ability to reach out and help others without expecting anything back in return, and to approach each person with each situation with grace, kindness, and tolerance. There is peace, there is joy, there's happiness. Frequently, there are also increased intuitive abilities and the knowledge of things that are unknowable by use of the five senses, which may include psychic and healing abilities. This is true for all great spiritual traditions. The most significant characteristics, however, is love. It is an unconditional love rather than one that is romantic or specific. One realizes that this kind of love is everlasting, eternal, and not subject to the laws of human nature or of the earth. It can never be lost. It is universal constant. To illustrate this, imagine a mother's love for a baby or a person's love for a dear pet. The baby or the pet does not need to perform in order to win love and acceptance. It is there no matter what the child or the animal does. It is deeper than that. It is profound. It has no conditions. It knows no limits, and neither do we. The first story in this section is called Indra's Net. One night, during the professional training that I attended at the crossings in Austin, Texas, I had a dream unlike anything I've had before or since. In it, it was I was one of the millions of octagonal disc-shaped objects which traveled at a light speed to and fro from Earth's surface to an outer universe above it. As we left Earth, the information about this planet, we would approach a vortex type opening, shaped like a funnel, and we would begin a swirling circular pattern as we entered it. Once we passed through the long tube into the universe, we would straighten out, and upon coming out of the other end, we would intersect with and join with others in what appeared to be a blanket made up of millions of us. We then discharged our information and swirled back down to Earth through the vortex, going the other way and retrieving more information. This pattern repeated over and over. I woke up from this dream in the process of doing a very specific hand motion, which at the end of the dream was being given to me as a means of communication with the blanket or net above Earth. One second, please. I woke up from this dream in the process of doing a very specific hand motion, which at the end of the dream was being given to me as a means of communication with the blanket or net above Earth. There was one motion that tied my visual and emotional content on the net, and one motion to disconnect. I have used these hand motions ever since to connect with this net and I disconnect from it with the purpose of providing the net with the human experience. It was clear to me that the net held and does hold all the emotional knowledge of the universe, and that what I am to provide it is the emotional component. As an example, if I am having a thought that I find discerning, I will connect and let the net feel that emotion. That then I disconnect. At first, I only connected on good things, but I soon recognized that the net was non-judgmental and not an assessor of goods or bad things. Thus, I began and still do communicate anything that I find to be unusually good or bad about the human condition. Now, I must add that I work with the severely mentally ill, particularly schizophrenic population, and I would likely say that someone was psychotic or delusional for engaging in such things as I am describing. However, the dream happened. The information was received, right or wrong. I feel obligated to do so as I revealed I should. Trust me, I'm sitting here shaking my head as I write this. The morning after I had the dream, I awakened and relayed it to my wife. Let me interject at this point how the whole ordeal was feeling. Have you ever jumped off a cliff or high dived into water far below? The first time I ever did, I felt exhilaration coupled with complete helplessness upon having left at that point at the board. This is how the events of the week with Dr. Weiss felt at that point. I had been on a perfectly sound diving board and had bounced up and down a few times. However, upon finally leaving the board, there was no turning back. Emotions were finally leaving. Emotions were running the gamut from complete and utter wonder to panic and everything in between. That day, I was in search of some coffee on a break and went around the back side of the building where I stumbled across Brian and Carol as they too were taking a break. Carol kindly said that they were interested in my experience and asked me to relate it to them. I did so briefly as I felt that surely they heard of this stuff all the time and that I considered life altering for me was probably common for news to them. However, they took honest interest. And Brian mentioned having heard of something in India's history about a net about the net above the world. This of course turned out to be Indra's net. And the description, this of course turned out to be Indra's net, and the descriptions that I have read about it on the internet are quite similar to my experience. Brian also remarked that the communication process with the net was a gift given to me. I had not thought of it that way. I saw it more as an obligation. Now I realize that the two are not mutually exclusive and that an obligation can indeed be a gift. The seminar gave me immediate empathy for Brian and the emotions that he must have felt while keeping the regression information quite in the early years. Like him, I did not tell many people about my experiences, particularly of the net, until now, of course. Interestingly, those I have told about that have responded with the awareness of something beyond the limits of Western organized religion, and I've been grateful for their position. I wish to say that the seminar and this experience rocked my safe little boat, and I know now that it needed to be rocked, for which I am beyond grateful. I have a long way to go, but at least I have no fear of the path anymore, says Raymond Wilson. As Raymond progresses rapidly on his spiritual path, he is simultaneously sharing the details of his experiences and thus helping many others on their own paths. On that day in Texas, while Karen and I were taking a break on the back porch, Raymond came looking for some coffee. He then proceeded to accurately describe the image and concept of Indra's net, about which he had never heard or heard anything. In his earnest manner, a portion of his mind thinking that he must be weird, he described a 2,500-year-old concept about the holographic interpenetration and the interconnectedness of all the things and all the beings. Although Raymond is an incredibly down to earth person, what he relayed was far from earth as possible. He had no idea that those ancient Hindu and Buddhist concepts and images were being validated by the findings of modern particle physics. The weird part was Raymond's ability to tap into the ancient images so clearly, just as he had been able to see and draw the millennia old Shavite symbol of Nikhil's regression to his princely coronation. The truly weird part was probably the shocked look on my face as I realized what he was so accurately describing. At the conclusion of that Texas training, I dictated some of my recollections. I found a snippet about one of the Raymond's regressions, a cosmic conscious memory. I remembered that he had been part of a quilt consciousness, overlooking the earth at the distant part of future. He was not alone in this. He knew he was with other spiritual beings and that they were all somehow interconnected. Raymond was neutral about planet's capabilities for nurturing the growth of souls. Earth was black and icy, yet when he was sent down to determine the texture and nature of its covering, he discovered that it was not solid ice, but something softer, more flexible. And knowing that it did have the potential to sustain spiritual life, he and the entire consciousness was happy. He then basically went through the life cycle of evolution. First, he was a kind of one celled being, then he became a tiny organism in the ocean, like a snail, but smaller. He grew very excited. This organism extended its flagella or protuberance above the water level. This was an extremely important evolutionary step, which thrilled him and the overlying consciousness. It's not clear if this experience was the beginning of evolution on Earth or if it was in the distant future as a regeneration of this planet was occurring. Raymond sent in his own account of the experience, clarifying my initial impressions. As the regression began, I began flipping through eons of time and through great quantities of life. This moved at a lightning fast pace. It was more similar to the films that used to be shown in high school, The frame that flashed by at the end of the film strip went click, click, click at rapid speed. The other comparison would be to a television back in the day, one on which you could adjust the vertical control and the screen would roll quickly with a bar in between each scene. This is how my regression occurred. In my mind, I knew that each frame was alive and I was going to backward. The film slowed and came to a stop in a primordial ocean with darkness and kelp like vegetation that was being rooted deep into the sea with seafloor. I was a single self type creature with a single hair like appendage, and I was a stalk of one of these kelp. I could notice light above and was working on my way towards it. Upon reaching the surface of the water, I raised my flagella into the air, and that moment I knew quite distinctly that I just had done was not new and very important. However, it seemed to be tied to evolution, and there was a clear feeling of new life and development. I felt safe and independent. I was unaware of any other life forms around me. Upon the end of the regression, I had no question that I had been in the oceanic soup before human life. I still do not know how to interpret this, but I knew it was important at the time, and I hold it so now. Our bodies may be constrained by the physical dimension, but our minds and souls are not. In both his dream and his regression, Raymond allowed himself to venture beyond and above the earth. Doing so literally afforded him a universal perspective onto existence. The same was true for Marcia, the client featured in the following story. To heal her human life, she needed to uncover its decidedly non human origins. Other souls are at its vast and limitless are the stars. One quick look I want to see. Okay, so I just want to let everybody know that I have to go drop somebody very important to the airport, and we need to leave in the next like 10 minutes. So I just quickly need to go and look into her baggage and everything before because it's a flight. So today I'll conclude the session like 15, 13 minutes before. I hope that's all right. So thank you so much. And I'm going to see you tomorrow morning again at 6 a.m. Sorry, tomorrow is Sunday. So I'm going to see you now on Monday, right? So thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. See you on Monday.